examiners ask you to present your findings, then you have to start from the history. Like this patient is 63 years old gentleman. I took the history and I did the examination in this patient. So in the history, the positive things are he's having Haemoptysis for a week, okay, and he's not having any history of weight loss and loss of appetite, and there is no history of lumps and bumps in the body. So you are just highlighting the important positive and important negative. Proceeding from there, he's having history of dyspnea for 1 week. Okay, that is going in favor of COPD in this patient. And he was having like 3 times chest infection in last one year time, and he received 3 different courses of antibiotics. He was not admitted during the last 1 year, but he was having the childhood severe infection. For that, he was admitted in the hospital at the age of 5 years. After that, he's having like a whitish sputum. Most of the time, early in the morning, he has to clear his chest. Okay, then we have to ask in the history what age you started your smoking. So he started smoking at the age of 17. We have to focus sometime like which system we are involved in the history taking and the case examination. So here the patient is having like a chest presentation, so we should take specific chest questions from the patient. Like in this patient, we have to ask, smoking history is very important. We have to ask the occupation history. We have to ask, did you ever have exposure to asbestos or no? Whether the patient is having asbestos exposure or no, but we have to ask these questions. In chest cases, very important to ask. If the patient says, no, I stopped smoking, or are you a smoker? He says, no, I'm not a smoker. This is not enough. We have to ask, did you ever smoke? Yes, I was smoking, like I stopped smoking 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So may I know why you stopped smoking 5 years or 10 years ago? I had this problem, so I stopped smoking. Doctor advice, so I stopped smoking. So taking the smoking history in chest cases is very important, and we have to dig out. Similarly, if the patient is having GI problem, taking the detailed alcohol history is very important. Otherwise, the examiners will cut your marks. So in this case, very important to ask, are you a smoker? Yes, I'm a smoker. Okay, how many cigarettes are you smoking and for how long? Okay, I'm taking like 10 to 15 cigarettes per day, and like for 40 years or 45 years. So what age you started smoking? Almost 17 or 18 years, most of the people they are starting. So he will reply like this. Did you ever try to quit smoking? Yes, doctor, I tried to quit smoking, but I failed. Okay. Did you discuss your GP to refer you to smoke cessation clinic? No, he did not. Or he has. So whatever the situation, but you will say this is now you can address the welfare of the patient. You know, the smoking is injurious to your health, and you have these symptoms that is related to smoking also. Smoking is increasing your symptoms, increasing your problems. So I will highly recommend you to stop smoking. And to help you, I will refer you to smoke cessation clinics. This clinic is a specialized clinic where a lot of help is available. Like this, we have to address the concern, and we have to address the welfare of the patient. So we should not lose the marks of welfare in this patient. Right. So present your findings. Then after giving the history, we have to give the positive finding in the examination. This patient is having clubbing. This patient is having pulmonary edema. Okay, and then we'll go up to the face. He's looking like he's having congested eyes because of the high blood count maybe. Okay, he's having a staining of the nails, and the mouth also having a staining of the smoking. Then tracheal tag is positive. This is indicating that the patient is having like COPD. Okay, and the distance from the trachea to the sternum is low. He's having emphysematous chest. He's having like a equal chest extension on both sides. He's having percussion note is resonant or hyperresonant. On auscultation, he's having expiratory disease all over, but he's having coarse palpitation on the right side of whatever the area, right side of the chest, that is partially changing with the cough. So my examination findings and the history findings are going in favor that the patient is having most likely chronic obstructive pulmonary disease with bronchiectasis. Okay, so why not the lung cancer in this patient? So I did the examination of the lymph nodes. There is no lymphatic finding in this patient. There is no history of weight loss. There is no history of loss of appetite. But even then, I will try to rule out, this is in my differential diagnosis, I will try to rule out the bronchiectatic carcinoma in this patient, considering his age and considering his significant history of smoking. Okay, so like this, you have to give the reply of first question of the examiner. Then definitely he will proceed from here, and he will ask you that how you will investigate these patients. So investigations, you have to divide like first you have to say I will do the baseline investigation like complete blood cell count, like CBC, ESR, CRP, and then I will do the liver function test and the kidney function test in those patients. So these are the baseline investigations. Then the specific investigation, I will do the chest X-ray because she is going in favor of COPD with bronchiectasis plus minus bronchiectatic carcinoma. So I would like to see the hyperinflated fields are there or no, any typical features of bronchiectasis present on the X-ray or no, then any mass like obesity is present or no. So if it is like this, then I will consider the CT scan test or a high resolution CT scan accordingly. The first thing is just X-ray. Then on the basis of X-ray, I will try to think about the further imaging. Like if it is going in favor of high resolution, going in favor of bronchiectasis, I will go for high resolution CT test. And if it is going like mass like obesity, then I will go for CT scan test with non-magnetic contrast. Apart from this, I will do respirometry, and I'm thinking that this patient is having like COPD, so he will be having the obstructive airway disease with partial or no response to bronchodilation. So this is about the specific investigation. Then I will do the sputum analysis. I will send a sputum for gram stain and culture, routine culture and sensitivity. I will send a sputum for acid phosphacin at least 3 samples to rule out tuberculosis, because still the tuberculosis is down in my differential diagnosis, but I will rule out. Then a sputum for cytology, 4 times samples to rule out the bronchogenic carcinoma. So you have to give the investigations, specific investigations like this. Okay, then the examiner will give you a hint about your possible diagnosis. He will tell, okay, if this patient is having like a COPD and bronchiectasis, so what you will do for this patient. So if there is something remaining in the investigation, this will be the clue for you to add something more. Okay. Otherwise, you will start with the management of the patient. So what more investigation we can do with this patient? If the patient is having bronchiectasis and COPD, we can think like the patient could go into right heart failure or pulmonary. So we can consider the echocardiography in this patient and the ECG also, considering his age also. So this is all about the investigation. How you will manage this patient? Okay, in the management also, we have to divide non-pharmacological management and pharmacological management. The non-pharmacological management, I will make the multidisciplinary team in this patient. I will involve the respiratory team, the pulmonologist. I will involve the nutritionist in this patient. I will involve the physiotherapist in this patient. I will involve the immunization program in this patient. So these are all non-pharmacological management. So for this, for the test cases, non-pharmacological management, I will give you the mnemonic NOPSI. NOPSI. I will write in the chat. Okay. So N for nutritionalist, so that is dietitian. O for occupational therapist. Okay. And P for physiotherapist. S for specialized nurse. I for immunization or vaccination program of this patient. They should have the vaccine for influenza and flu, and also the COVID program should be addressed. So this is what non-pharmacological management. So pharmacological management here. The patient is having Haemoptysis and shortness of breath. These are the two right now. Does not look like any current infection because there is no history of fever in this patient and there is no pulmonary sputum. Ideally, during the history, we should ask the color of the sputum. Now he's having Haemoptysis, but we have to ask like the color of the sputum, is it mixed with the sputum or no? Okay, if it is frank Haemoptysis or no. If it is a frank Haemoptysis, what is the color? It is bright red in color or dark red in color. So these are the questions very important. So to differentiate whether it is pure like infectious or pure blood is coming. So if it is infectious, it will be like a color change of the sputum mixed with the sputum with the Haemoptysis. So these are the questions that we have to ask. Okay, so quickly I will finish the management, then I will highlight the Haemoptysis approach also in this case. So after this, we have to consider the antibiotics. If there is infection chance, I will give prompt treatment for acute infection. Okay, mostly it will be depending on the severity of the infection and how is the saturation of this patient SpO2 and how is the vitals of this patient and how much amount of Haemoptysis. Very important, how much amount of Haemoptysis. If it is like massive Haemoptysis, we have to admit the patient. If it is mild to moderate, we can think to discharge the patient with the treatment as an outpatient, and we will give the reflex anytime if you have coughed up enough amount or more amount of blood, then you should come back to the emergency department. All the patient we cannot admit in the hospital. This is the policy of NHS. So we have to give the reflex to the patient, and we will decide according to the vitals of the patient, according to the saturation of the patient, and according to the amount of Haemoptysis. If it is like he is having a scanty amount of this, if you asked to this patient, he was telling like it is 2 to 3 times I have the Haemoptysis, and it is every time if you will ask the quantity, you will say like it is 2 or 3 small teaspoon of blood only. So no need to admit this patient is vitally stable, and if it is like saturation is maintaining, we will give the antibiotics, we will give the bronchodilators, we will give the mucolytics because this is bronchiectasis patient, so we have to give the mucolytics. So these are the management of this patient, and yeah, so these are the options and the treatment of this patient. Any questions?
Hello.
As for specialized nurse, respiratory nurses are specialized, and I for immunization and vaccination. Yes, Dr. Prakash.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Dr. Nishant here. So in respiratory examinations, can we go for the percussion and all these in clinical consultations, long cases?
Yes.
Should we go for that, or because we have to examine the general examinations, then we have to see the heart sounds, then so oscillation only if we do the oscillation in the respiratory examination, is it okay, or we have to go by stepwise manner as per the clinical consideration concern?
Yes. Okay, I will give you the answer of Nishant. Good question, really. So this should be the focus examination. And here, how Dr. Urmi started, it was nice that you have to start with the hands and then you have to proceed with the face, but you have to do like in 30 seconds to 1 minute, you can finish the general physical examination, including the lymph node examination. If I include the lymph node examination, it will finish in 1 minute time. So you will have another 1 to 2 minutes to complete the rest of the examination. So by the look, emphysematous chest is enough to see. You will ask the patient, just take deep breath in and out. You will see the both sides of the chest are moving symmetrically. Yes, moving symmetrically. Good. Okay. Then you can just do the chest expansion and you can just palpate the apex feet. And if you are interested, do the percussion. Otherwise, you can skip the percussion in this patient. Auscultation is very, very important, and you will take the time to auscultate all the areas because this is respiratory case. I think this is the answer.
Okay, thanks.
There is one question. As
Yes.
there is a saying when patient is having haemoptysis. In
Yes.
that case, as per my knowledge, we should not do percussion. What is your comment about that?
No, we can do.
No, some examiner has told it is a red flag if you
Mhm.
are doing patient is having haemoptysis and when you are doing the percussion. I'm just asking for confirmation.
Okay. According to my knowledge, it is not contraindicated.
Okay, thank you.
Or if you are in doubt, you can ask the examiner. So I want to do the percussion. He will say you directly do it or don't do it. The examiners are very helpful in such situation. Okay. You can prompt. You can raise your voice like this. So I want to do the percussion. Examiner, if it is like not allowed or not good for the patient, they will say, what do you want to see in percussion? So I want to see any area of dullness because I'm suspecting could be mass over there. So if the mass is there, then the percussion is very important for Vikas.
Okay.
But you are concerned about the haemoptysis. It is not contraindicated especially, but even if you are very much cautious, so I will suggest you to say like this, I want to do the percussion, sir. Okay. They will ask you directly, what do you want to do? Or they will say, okay, go ahead. So they will not penalize you. I think it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that
Now
was the
I will give
comment
you
by
the-
the examiner. Haemoptysis, remember, don't percuss. Without permission, it's contraindicated
Okay.
if given in scenario. That was the message.
Without permission. Oh, okay. Without permission. Then it is clear now that we should take the permission.
And should we ask about the SpO2 level, bedside SpO2 level in such a case? Because the
Yes.
patient is stable, but still the SpO2 is level like 80, 85, then the patient is going to be admitted now.
Very important very important to ask the saturation level. And during the examination, you have to say, I would like to check the SpO2 level because these are the points that will suggest you or guide you whether the patient is for admission or not. Okay. So in this patient, the saturation and the quantity of haemoptysis, and the third thing is his vital signs. These three will tell us whether the patient is for admission or for outpatient. Clear? Okay. So let me give you the approach about haemoptysis case. So how you will ask the question about haemoptysis. When did the haemoptysis start? When did it start? Number one. Is it first time or before also you had? When you had the first time. This patient is having first time for last 4 weeks. Okay. On the basis of this, you will decide whether this is a new problem or acute problem or there is something chronic going on in this patient. Okay. So in this patient, there is new problem. He's having for last 4 weeks and daily it is coming 2 to 3 times. The next important question is, can you tell me the quantity? How much blood being topped up? This is very important to decide the severity of the haemoptysis. Okay. So the patient can tell you that it is teaspoonful, or it is like a tablespoonful, or it is like half a cup in a day. So if it is like a tablespoon to half a cup in a day in 24 hours, then the patient must be admitted. Okay. Is it a single episode or recurrent episode? Like if it is coming only once in the morning and not coming in the daytime, then it is going in favor of bronchiectasis. Then the color of this blood, whether it is fresh, bright red in color, or it is dark red or brownish in color. Okay. So these are all very important questions in a case of haemoptysis. Then we have to answer associated questions, associated symptoms related to the chest. So first we have to ask, do you have the cough? Yes, I am having the cough. Is it productive or dry? It is productive, doctor. Most of the time it is producing. What is the color of the sputum or the phlegm? It is whitish most of the days, but sometimes it is changing in color, like in this patient. 3 times it changed to yellowish or greenish and feverish also with increased shortness of breath. So it was acute exacerbation. So I received the antibiotics also. Okay. Then related to chest, the cough, and then the second thing is shortness of breath. Do you have any shortness of breath? So in this patient, there was shortness of breath. It started 1 year ago, and it is progressively increasing. Before he can go uphill without any problem. Now he's having problem only during uphill while he's going up the stairs. Okay. You can ask, can you walk fast? Yes, I can walk fast. Do you need to stop your walking, or you can continue to walk on the level? Yes, I can continue. So there is like stage 2 level or stage 1 level he's having this here. Okay, shortness of breath. Then specific question to shortness of breath. Can you lie flat? Yes, I can lie flat. Okay, how many clothes you are using? I use 1 cloth. Do you use any extra cloth or no? So this is you are asking about orthopnea. Did you ever wake up because of the attack of shortness of breath? Yes or no, whatever the situation. So next question will be, do you have any swelling of the legs? Yes or no. If it is yes, okay, it is one leg or both legs. Okay, it should be both legs. If it is like a heart failure patient or a pulmonary patient, then you have to ask up to which level you have this swelling. So these are the question about the shortness of breath. Then the chest pain, you have to ask the chest pain here. Okay, and before going for the chest pain, in the shortness of breath, you have to answer any noisy chest you have or no. Noisy chest is equal to wheezing. You are asking about the wheezing of the chest. Is there wheezes are there or no? Sometimes you can ask noisy chest, or you can ask do you have any whistling sounds? Both are equal to wheezing. You are asking about the wheezes. Okay, then go to the chest pain. What type of, if the chest pain is there, what type of chest pain? Okay, where is the chest pain? Can you please indicate me with your one finger? Okay, and what is the character? It is dull or dull ache or burning pain or whatever the pressure like pain, or it is just like a pricking pain. So whatever the pain character, you have to ask the patient. Is it moving anywhere? Do you have any? Okay, the chest pain is moving anywhere or no? So we can ask like this. And associate the symptom with the chest pain, any nausea, any sweating, any radiation to the jaw, like for the typical chest pain or no. Okay, so these are the questions about the chest pain. Then so now these are the specific questions related to the chest, because the hemoptysis is coming from the chest. Then further question we can ask: do you have bleeding from any other orifices, like from your nose or from your mouth? Do you have any gum bleeding or no? Did you ever vomited out or thrown up the blood or no? Okay. Then do you have any blood coming out from your back passage? Did you notice? Do you have any lactary stool or no? So these are the questions you can ask about the other areas of the bleeding. So after asking these questions, we have to ask some more questions related to our case. Like, do you have any high temperatures? Any evening temperature, any night temperature? Do you have any sweating in the night or no? Okay. Do you have any lumps and bumps? Do you have any weight loss? Do you have any loss of appetite? So these should be the approach and our questions in this patient. Then to find out the cause of hemoptysis, we have to ask the risk factors or the factors that can lead to hemoptysis. So important is smoking. How many cigarettes you are smoking and for how long you are smoking. So we have to calculate rapidly pack year, number of cigarettes per day into number of years of smoking divided by 20. You may not calculate during your examination, but remember some readings or some factors about the pack year. Why it is important? The examiner can ask you why it is important to ask the pack year. Pack year gives us the patient risk of developing smoking-related disorders like COPD, like lung cancer. So when it becomes significant, it becomes significant if it is more than 10 pack year history of smoking. Okay, and when it is more than 20 pack year smoking history, we will say the patient is heavy smoker, and the survival for this patient is 5-year survival is decreasing by 20 pack year, and the 5-year survival is 83%. So this is the significance of calculating the pack year. Then we have to ask, in the case of hemoptysis, we have to ask, did you ever suffer from a long-standing infection known as tuberculosis? Okay, or did you ever been exposed to a person who is suffering from long-standing infection known as tuberculosis? Okay. Do you have travel in a place where you have been exposed to a person who is having long-standing cough in your family or in your friends, like this? Recent traveling, very important to ask the endemic area of tuberculosis, the patient travel or no. Then the occupational history is very important. We have to ask any chance, do you have any exposure to asbestos or no? Okay. Then any history of lung disease or any history of long-standing disease you are suffering from. Then the family history of lung disease or the lung malignancy, very important to ask. Okay. So these are the approach question on how to approach in a case with hemoptysis.
For more detailed explanations and related topics, we invite you to watch our videos on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest educational content. Thank you.